Welcome, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for tuning in to this Red Kingdom Media production, bringing you raw, authentic Chiefs coverage. Make sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on your team. Now sit back and enjoy the show. Good morning, Chiefs Kingdom. It is an early Saturday morning, and the Red Kingdom Media Big Game Spectacular continues with this Saturday edition of the Final Drive with Mr. Rodney Pegues II. How are you doing this morning?
I'm blessed. Really good. How about yourself?
I'm running off fumes. I'll say that. It's been a
It's all
grind
good.
to get all these going and doing some other things, getting ready for the Super Bowl. So running off like 0 hours of sleep, but I'm just continue going, man. Like one
Oh,
day at a
that's it.
time, no blinking to Sunday. So got to get through this
Hey,
Saturday and Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon. That matter. So
and just
uh,
like Pat said, find a way to drag ourselves across the finish line.
that's right. I got in this room and I put on my jersey and I'm wearing my microphone. That's a good sign in the right direction for sure. So for anybody who hasn't been here the last couple of nights, I'm gonna start off with some Chiefs centric questions, and then I've got Dale and Lonnie here, and we're gonna bring them in when we start talking Super Bowl. And we were getting a little nerdy about drafts and training camps before we went live, so I'm sure we got plenty of fun conversations to be had. So to kick us off, starting off, how long have you been a Chiefs fan for?
Whew, I've been a Chiefs fan for all my life. Honestly, and the funny thing about it, the Chiefs wasn't my first favorite team. It was
Mm-hmm.
actually the Chicago Bears. Because
Okay.
with my family growing up and being from Mississippi,
Mm-hmm.
I love Walter Payton. Grew up, because he's from northern Mississippi,
Yes.
and I grew up learning and knowing about Walter Payton and following his career. I said, I just, I got to be a Bears fan because of Walter Payton, and then just to see this oversized mammoth of William Perry, like, bro, who is that? And yeah, and after that, and like that's when I started to look at what's more to football, and that's when I learned and saw what grew me to the Chiefs was Derek Thomas. Actually meeting him in person, before
Ooh.
he passed, and that right there is like this is a large guy. And they say, oh, he's young. I said, you don't look young. He's just large. And that was a moment I became a Chiefs fan, just watching Derek Thomas.
I'm sure a lot of kids nowadays have that same impression when they see like Chris Jones on the field with any other person. There's just like
Yeah.
that man looks a giant amongst all these other giants. I don't know how he does it, but
Mm.
like 6'7", 300 plus pounds, looks like he could swallow you whole. So
Right.
so Chiefs love our defense, that's for sure. So your family's Mississippi. Are you an out of state Chiefs fan yourself?
Yes. Born and raised in Kansas City. My father and them moved when he was three. But I currently live in North Carolina, so repping the red over here on the East Coast. Well, they hate me over here, but I love it.
You hear a lot from Carolina Panthers fans, if there are any nowadays right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I try to put them out of their misery.
Hey guys, we know what a good offense is. Come look over here, and then also we got a good defense now too. So take notes.
Oh yeah.
So, what do you like to do on game days? What are your game day routines? What are you making? What are you wearing? What are you? Where are you at? How are you enthralled in the game?
So for me, game day is more of a personal thing. Of course, I wear my Mahomes jersey. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and and I just be me in my living room by myself. Well, my neighbors know when it's game day. Okay, they
Yep.
hear me. Oh, they hear me very well, and it's a bit of a ritual. I like to sometimes it's a little different because I don't get a lot of games out here in the East Coast. So I watched the play by play on ESPN. I listen to it on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
That experience listening on the radio app and everything, that's different because
Yeah.
now I can understand the excitement of Mitch Holtis and just getting that visualization of what he's seeing. I'm like, ah. but sometimes I hate it when ESPN is ahead of of the actual play. I'm like, oh man, here's a turnover. I have to hear it,
But
but
Dale and I have
it's
been joking
enjoyable for
about
me.
that. We'll use that in the positive sense. We'll be making sure Harrison Butker field goals go in or something. It's like I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know yet. Let me see what this. Okay, +3. We good. Let's watch it go in.
that's what I do. So but it gives me the excitement. I love listening to it and watching it. When I get games here, oh, I make it known.
I love going to the games, but there is that one aspect, like it's all crowd, but I do wish I could hear Mitch describe the whole thing. Like when you're there or you're watching TV and then you hear the radio, you know that like it's minutes behind. So
Hmm.
you're either like that is your form of communication where you're hearing how the game's going, or you're like, oh, we just scored, quick, got to put on Mitch. I got to hear how he claimed
Yeah,
this call. Yeah,
uh,
goosebumps.
that dude. That's I love it. You know, especially being a truck driver and listening and putting it on the radio and just listening live. It's just primetime games on the radio. It's a different experience.
True. Are you a avid Chiefs podcast listener, sports show watcher?
Oh yeah, I listen to 610 Sports Radio and 810 Sports Radio. I listen to them a lot. I listen to every podcast that I could get because I like to get all perspectives and look at different views. You know, I know that everyone has a different view and their different takes of everything, and just seeing how people view the Chiefs and go about everything. So I like to listen to all Chiefs podcasts and before I put my input out there because I know I can get very analytical on things and but it's good to get to listen to everyone and hear their viewpoints as well.
No doubt. It's like an addiction. Once you hear one, you want to hear what everybody else has to say.
Right.
So, uh, who in your life do you think of the most when it comes to the Chiefs?
My father. My father, he's the one who pretty much introduced me to football. Now granted, he is a Packers fan.
Okay.
And the first thing he mentioned was, oh, the Packers was in the Super Bowl. So of course I like, oh, who do they play? The Chiefs. Ah, now I'm a Chiefs fan. And when I've learned that, I'm like, wow, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And so actually, living just down the street from the stadium growing up and knowing that he's a Packers fan, and like every time when they had the game when the Chiefs played the Packers and just blew them out of the water, I said, oh, that felt so good. And so it's just my father, he loved football, especially Marty Schottenheimer.
Yeah, love it.
Marty was something, and his press conference was pretty much like a big talking point to everyone. So my father helped, guide me into the life of football.
It's awesome, man. Uh, if you could bring back a past Chiefs great for this Super Bowl matchup, who do you want?
Mm. And I was thinking about that question for a while, and I
I
listened to
know
everyone answer.
the group's been passing that question around. They like that question.
And to me, I'm going off script. I'm going off script, and actually got one for the offense and one for the defense. For the defense, Neil Smith. Put Neil Smith next to Chris Jones and George Karlaftis and just that defensive line. First of all, you're not doubling Chris Jones and having Neil Smith there. Dude can take
True.
up an interior by himself.
Yep.
And people don't realize Neil Smith is the reason why DT was by himself, one on one with the tackle
Yes.
all the time. He knows how to clog the middle up, and that was a dangerous guy. He's the reason why linebackers didn't get touched in the run game. So I'll say Neil Smith. On the offense, to me, because how this offense is ran and how things is going, I would love to see Brian Waters.
Okay.
I love to
And
see Brian Waters in that on that offensive line, or better or Grunny, Tim Grunhard,
mm,
because the physicality in the NFL now, oh, they not used to them guys. Will Shields and Brian Waters, them guys was overly aggressive, especially Will Shields. People don't realize Will Shields used to be a tackle, and
Mm-hmm.
he was a swing guy, moved from inside and out. But and the funny thing of it is, Brian Waters is actually smaller than Groney and Will Shields. So I would say, in today's NFL, I would love to get Brian Waters as a left tackle with his athleticism and moving. That would be extremely nasty.
Ooh, that you get like a Mitchell Schwartz type where you just put him at
Hmm.
tackle. He's on an island, and you don't even think about it. And then you look at the player, and you're like, how in the world is he winning like every snap, beating all these matchups? And then you just go to
Hmm.
the film and you watch his footwork, his technique, and you're like, oh, the man's a robot. He does nothing wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, that power and that power gap run scheme is good luck.
yeah. And this season, when the run game has been the thing that has tended to spark the offense the most, yeah, just complete utter domination in the running game. That would be
Oh yes.
a very good Super Bowl. So you said you were a fan younger. You started out as Chicago Bears. I assume that was like in the mid 2000s when they went to the Super Bowl and lost to Peyton Manning and whatnot. So how did you stay true to the kingdom and stay a Chiefs fan up until Andy Reid started coming in and then our savior Patrick Mahomes landed?
Whew. Ah, I enjoyed those 30, $40 low seat tickets. I can tell you that. Them blackout
Right.
seats. I enjoyed those tickets. Um, it's just hope. It was just hope. Though speaking of the Bears seeing Lovey Smith and Tony Dungy, the first time you have two black head coaches coaching in the Super Bowl, that was pretty iconic to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat back and think, especially when the Chiefs had Herm Edwards as head coach. I'm like, we can finally let someone see Herm get there and just watch him get decimated. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe next year. uh, but it was just a hope, watching the promising of Jamal Charles and Paris Holmes and even watching Tony Gonzalez, the fact, even though how he left to go to Atlanta is a different story, but it just saw hope. Watching Jared Allen on the defensive side, and Ron Parker, and just watching just the hope and say eventually he has to get there. We're going up against Peyton Manning, and he just literally just tearing defense apart.
Mm-hmm.
And drafting a quarterback was extremely difficult. Eventually, hopefully, we will have our own franchise quarterback, and we'll go from there.
And shame on the Pro Football Hall of Fame for not letting Jared Allen this year. I don't understand
Ah,
why, but y'all better remedy that next year because you can't keep that man out of the Hall of Fame. He deserves it.
I feel like if it wasn't for Jared Allen, you wouldn't have the J.J. Watts, T.J. Watts, Justin Watson, Justin Houston,
Mm-hmm.
and you wouldn't have the edge rushers now. You wouldn't even have Von Miller, because Jared Allen, he evolutionized the edge rush, because DT, everybody wants to say DT or Lawrence Taylor, they was actually defensive ends or outside linebackers.
Right.
But Jared Allen was just an edge rusher,
Mm-hmm.
and he evolutionized that. And if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have the edge rushers you have now.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, the late '80s and '90s made it seem like the 3-4 and the outside linebacker was going to be the key matchup, and obviously the Chiefs had that style for a little bit. But then once Spagnola came in the picture, it seems like it's been mostly 4-3, the edge rusher. We had Frank Clark as the like literal edge defender, and now we're starting to see some newer guys in the frame. Karloftis is kind of that hybrid of Jared Allen and a edge speed rusher on the side. So
Hmm.
I agree. The Neil Smith comparison to Chris Jones is spot on. I think the fact that you have such a mammoth sized person in that spot that allows the edge around the curve to get caught because the quarterback is constantly looking straight ahead. So that's the best part. And Tom Brady would say that's who he always feared the most is when you have a really good defensive tackle that can just win instantly.
You collapse the pocket right in the middle. Like they said, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. That B gap is the straightest line you're going to get to.
And with the Niners having that be their weakest point on their offensive line, if we don't see
Oh,
Chris Jones feast, we're trying to manifest the Super Bowl MVP trophy for him. So if
uh,
he doesn't see
it,
what's in front of him and he doesn't ball out and feast, I don't know what it would have took for him.
to me, I know we're gonna get to it a little later, but I say George Karlaftis has a chance of stealing it.
Ooh, okay. On the I'm
On
guessing on the right tackle on the other side,
mm-hmm.
and somebody's just taken up Trent. Well, that could be like Felix. It's like, hey, bud, here's your first start in the Super Bowl. Go face Trent Williams and probably not win or do anything. Just go take up a spot.
But the thing about it is that when you look at Trent Williams, I go back into that last game that the Chiefs played the 49ers. Frank Clark was on Trent Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the worst games Trent Williams had in his career. And Frank Clark was, and we all judge Frank Clark for how he played. Frank
Right.
Clark just whipped the crap out of him. Like, who's playing that left tackle over there? Like, golly.
Hmm.
He gave up a safety. I don't think
Right.
people remember. Trent Williams gave up a clear safety and got whipped by Frank Clark. And it was like they had their way against Trent Williams when it came to speed.
Mm-hmm.
And like, oh, that's a problem. So I think Felix, I've said it plenty of times. So if Felix get at least a half a sack or get pressure off of Trent Williams, oh no. Oh, I'm on his neck.
Right. Yeah. Felix has not gotten much time to shine, rightfully so, because he's a rookie and he's got several other players in front of him. But with Charles being out, it's time for him to at least take up a spot, if anything, step up and show that he can be first round starting defensive lineman like George was. I mean, George did start off the hottest. He had some knocks coming out of college, but he's really turned it around this second season, even more so. Like, I think first year was all just trying to win with technique and a little power, and now we're starting to see some burst from George. So that's really nice to see.
And that's the same thing I see for Felix. I see Felix like I see Mahomes. Um, Felix has someone that's clearly that proven himself that can play inside out. That's
Right.
ahead of him. He's not beating Charles Omenihu. I'm sorry, you're not beating him. Even though he had a 6-game suspension, Mike Dana was also playing very well. So that kind of put Felix in. Well, why don't you just redshirt this year and learn? Like Mahomes
Right.
sat back and learned, and for Felix showed what he can do against Chicago. He was a menace against Chicago. So that was a very, Justin Fields had a very big problem, but they limited the snaps on him because, it's like, well, hold on, let's wait. But he's very dominant. But when you also
Mm-hmm.
look at the last game against the Chargers, Felix was nasty against the run, and he held the edge and said, "That's a dangerous guy." And
Mm-hmm.
I think this is where he's going to really take his time and really show here. Um, and run circles around the old man Trent. And that's just me. That's just, you know, Trent can be beat. Trent can be beat, and Felix has the attributes that can really beat him.
I'm with that. Well, we won't. I won't take up much more of your time because we're desperate to talk Super Bowl. But my final question for you, Chief centric, is who is your favorite current day Chief, and who is your all time favorite Chief?
Ooh, good question. Current Chiefs, I would say, mm, that's a very good question. Because see, I like I like Nick Bolton. I like his
Okay.
leadership and everything. I like what he brings. I like his adaptability.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all-time favorite, I have to go down to the big guy himself, Neil Smith. Is how he just commanded the offensive line, and wow, I know the practice back then was brutal. You know, I heard Tim Grunhard talk about it going up against those guys every day in practice. Like, no wonder that was the best offensive line. You had to go against that guy in that defensive front. Oh
Right.
no.
Same argument can be made about our defense. It's like they've had
Mhm.
like 3-4 years of going up against Patrick Mahomes in practice every game, and
And all,
you've seen the clips of Spags talking with Mahomes. It's like, oh, when this certain play, what do you look at, and then getting Patrick's perspective to change their defense.
mhm.
It's a constant churning of players and styles and schemes and all that.
And also you can flip it as like this is why it's hard for people to beat the Chiefs defense. Spags is using Mahomes to, better the defense, but also Mahomes have to go up against this nasty scheme. That's why he sit back and said a lot of time in his press conference, good thing I don't have to play against him because you don't know what's going on out there. And so hey, iron sharpens iron.
That's right. It's going to be a fun matchup. So thanks for talking your Chiefs fan with me. I'm going to bring the other guys into the group, but I'm going to ask you all to like and subscribe. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Red Kingdom Media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Rate us 5 stars on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching us now, leave your comments. We will get to those towards the end of the show after our major Super Bowl conversation. But let us know you enjoyed it, or let us know if we're full of crap. We really don't care. We just love hearing from you and hearing your feedback. So with that being said, I will go ahead and bring in our other guests for today. Welcome.
What's going on, fellas?
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
And blessed and highly favored, man.
Yes, I love some of the answers. You could tell that you are a guy, Rod, that really knows your stuff. Especially with the Felix thing. I've been wanting to say that. I feel like that too. It's definitely a red shirt. He's more of a project guy coming from the Big 12. I don't know what they have with guys like that and kind of taking them under their wing and working them in, but I feel like it's been an indoctrination into the NFL. He didn't get as many snaps as George, so like you said, I feel like they don't got a lot of film on him. He's a perfect type of rusher for Trent Williams. That's why we got rid of Frank and subbed him in kind of for the Frank role. So I definitely could see that. Like you said, that lines up kind of perfect.
And see, I say the big thing with it is Joe Collins. Joe Collins had fresh legs of Felix the whole season. Like, when you compare him to Mike Dana, and of course Charles is out. So, a lot of teams look okay, but they're gonna see Mike Dana, but Felix is fresher than anyone. He didn't have to go against all this rumble and tussle. But then on top of that, I look at BJ Thomas and Malik Herring. If those two, well, all three of those are activated, I'm sorry, the San Francisco offensive line to catch hell from all type of speed rush and the whole turbo set. And I can see them moving Felix. They move Felix into that A gap, or at least it's just that zero technique over the center. Good luck, Bucko. This guy is because Joe Collins like to move these guys everywhere. And remember last year when George was thrown under the fire, he lined up in that zero tech quite a bit when they went into a 3-man rush.
Right.
So if Chris Jones coming out for a play, and they can easily put Felix, who could probably be who's a bit bigger than Malik Herring, put him in that zero tech, that center is going to catch hell to try to stop him.
Mm-hmm.
You muted, Ill. By your headset. Say something.
All right, I'm here. It's early morning, man. I'm telling y'all, it's what it is. Like, y'all, because Rod, you on the East Coast, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, yeah, I'm about a couple hours behind y'all, so I just now woke up. You know, so it already started early like that. But I was saying, like, so more of you can see Felix kind of playing that Myles Garrett role that we see over there in Cleveland, where he's just moving around. He goes everywhere on that entire defensive line. So I understand we got people right now in here, you know, talking about, you know, beating Trent. Good luck. That's cool. We'll get to that later on. But I mean, Frank Clark, somebody, a lot of people in our group who complain about it as well, and who always turn it up in the postseason, he had a fair share of good plays against him. And also last year as well too, when in that game where we were able to pressure Jimmy G in on their own goal line when they was back in the end zone. So, and you saw him kind of like get and take advantage of that opportunity as well too. So it can happen. It can happen. But going into the Super Bowl, my first question for you: what are your keys to victory?
Confusion on the offense, confusion on the defense. Looking at San Francisco, this is a system. This is a very old school system. If I really want to test 49ers mindset and see if you're really a fan. If anybody actually look at the 49ers offense, there should only be one offense that comes in mind. Shanahan. When his father coached with the Denver Broncos, it's the same exact offense. Now, when you look at the San Francisco coaching staff, who's all on that coaching staff? You got two guys who played in that same style. George Kittle is nothing but Shannon Sharp. That whole offensive scheme is the old school Shanahan offense. And the funny thing about it is, who coached against that offense that caught a little bit of trouble but found a way to stop it? Steve Spagnuolo. So you like father, like son. It's a pattern. So confusion. I look for that 3 safety set. To me, I say, the Niners is a bit lucky that Brian Cook is out, because that's the real enforcer. And I think that's a guy that can really put the brakes on I wouldn't say Brandon Ayuk, but anything that's coming across the middle. He's the real enforcer, but that 3 safety set is very dangerous. Also, I look at the emergence of Joshua Williams and Watson. If anyone noticed, in the AFC Championship game, they started leaving them out on the island. Watson going one-on-one with OBJ. Hold on now. that's kind of pressing it. But then again, that goes back to training camp when Dave Merritt threw them two under the bus. Well, not under the bus, in front of the bus, and so your development is not where it's supposed to be, and they tighten up real quick because they want that playing time. So that defensive coaching staff is real cutthroat, but it's the scheme, and a lot of people, they asked Steve Spagnuolo about the adjustments. How did he make the adjustments, and he kind of gave it up. And I don't think a lot of people caught on to it. He said he don't make the adjustment. They do. Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquil are the coaches on the field. If anybody knows, when they're on the field together, Drew turns and talks to Justin Reed. Nick Bolton goes to the A-gap and talks to the whole defensive line and make an adjustment. So they split the field, but they say the same exact thing. That's a dangerous combination. If they are adjusting things on the fly before Steve Spagnuolo can see it, you don't know who's calling the plays. You don't know what's going on. So the adjustment is made by them guys, and that's a dangerous feeling. So the confusion side on the offense is Rashid Rice. Getting him going, getting him and exploiting the things that they haven't seen yet. I mentioned on the sports radio show is everybody see Rashid Rice right now as a possession receiver, like the Juju Smith-Schuster. But when he was in college, he was a Z receiver. He was on the outside. He's known for high pointing and his high catch radius. I think that's going to come out. Leave him one-on-one. That's a dangerous matchup. That's a very, especially for someone who now understands the zone concept from Travis Kelce point of view. and this is on zone defense. Again, this is a very zone defense, and you don't want to go against zone with this wide receiver group. So confusion is, to me, is the key to the game.
And I like that you brought up that point about Rashee Rice as well too, because seeing a guy who had like 1,400 plus yards his senior season at SMU, it's like he's not just a guy who do crossing routes and anything like that. And there's been debates about him getting separation as well too. And I always kind of been in the middle of it, because at times you can see like he probably didn't get away quick enough, but that doesn't mean that in those moments or in other moments as well that he can't do that, because he also told us as well, which it was in the Bengals game. And he literally said, and this is how his growth within the offense, it's actually happening, and we seeing it in real time. He said, I saw that safety come down, and I saw they was gonna have me going man on man, 1-on-1. I was like, instead of going ahead and going across the middle, let me go ahead and just take the outside, go straight down the field, and he had that opening.
Mm-hmm.
And then right there, and this is a combination we haven't seen all year, throwing down the field, and he hit it on the first try. I was like, you got something there.
And speaking of that play, Mahomes paused on that play because he thought he was coming across, but he saw the safety too. So he paused for a second before he threw that deep ball. Like Rice saw what's happening before Mahomes saw it. And when Mahomes saw it, he's wide open down the field. Like, oh, I got to careful to get this ball out there. That's why he threw it down on the rope. And so his development mentally is clicking, especially when you see him in a zone. That he is very clicking. I just hope some of it is rubbing off on Scott more.
And I just say with the Rashee Rice thing, I know people probably are harping on the separation, but he was a yak guy in college. I don't think he had a lot of separation. He was more of I'm gonna break the tackle and make a guy miss in the open field, more like a DeAndre Hopkins type wide receiver. Like that was more him in college. So like that's more the type of guy we have, and that's who we're seeing coming on shallow crosses and taking them to the house, getting the screen pass, taking it to the house in the Ravens game if it doesn't get called back. He's a breaking tackle. He's almost a running back when you put the ball in his hands. He's perfect for the Andy Reid offense. But you have to learn how to read coverages if you're going to play with this offense and play with Mahomes. And that's why a lot of wide receivers don't have a lot of success in the offense because they can't read coverages and they don't understand, okay, the safety's crashing. Let me just go ahead and take this over the top. And Mahomes usually sees those things and he doesn't have time to teach them to you. So I think Rashee Rice will continue to expand. He's going to be a number one, I think, in the offense just moving forward, period, just because he's so advanced.
Yeah. He's number one right now, like as a receiver. I think when everybody get caught up, it's like we always talk about Travis Kelce. At the end of the day, Travis Kelce's still a tight end. He's a tight end.
He's a tight end.
Rashee Rice is our number one. Travis Kelce's our number one weapon, and that's okay. Right. And Andy Reid utilized him in the way that he want to utilize him. He's more of a receiving tight end. That's fine. We can always make the argument about, oh, you need to be a blocker or anything like that. These guys still went to college. This is why they had that position for them. Guys who can still kind of be on that line with the front five, be able to take some one-on-one at a time, be able to be dominant in the run game when you're going downfield and blocking. But they're skilled with the ball as well, too. Travis Kelce just took that a little bit to the next level at coming into the league, being that tight end. So, going to that, we talked about the offense. We can do that for a while, but I want to go back to the point that you made on defense about Drew Tranquil and Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton, I have caught that. He goes up to the line. Drew Tranquil, you see him communicating that. Now, I was an advocate for Willie Gay because I love his athleticism. I think, when he makes plays, and I love his energy as well, too. But I also said, and it's on the record here as well, I was like, Drew Tranquil going to be the reason why we don't bring back Willie Gay because we're going to have to take a hit somewhere. It's like we're going to have to lose somebody. And then with the injury history that you had as well, too, I mean, you improved from that first year where he wasn't able to participate and we lost in that Super Bowl. You didn't play all year, but you came back, you fought back in it, and, you've been well after that and been a part of a Super Bowl and been a part of that success. But you got a guy in Drew who his IQ, you match that with Nick Bolton, who's growing as a middle linebacker as well. But we keep on forgetting that he was a rookie last year. So, and he's already at that point to where we want to compare him to guys like Fred Warner. Truth. Like when you look at top linebackers in the league, you got Roquan Smith, you got the Patrick Queens, you got Fred Warner, you got Greenlaw as well too. You got all these other guys who are, you know, playing at a high level, and Nick Bolton is really matching that. So how do you really feel about Willie Gay coming into this game with all the guys that, you know, kind of being, you know, really without him this last couple games, playing at a high level?
See, with Willie, I think he's feeling more of the pressure than anyone. You know, add in the guys that's coming in the draft. There's a linebacker coming out of Eichenberg coming out of Ohio State, and you have another linebacker coming out of Notre Dame. Those guys are more of that weak side linebacker type of guy who can cover, but also, you know, can sit back and stay in the middle if needed. Patrick Queen is a cheat code because he's technically a safety, but he just big. He just gotten bigger. So now you be able to move him down in that linebacker role. It's just like they said a few years ago. Oh, that safety linebacker role there's no the space for that in the NFL. You wonder why the top defense in the league have that safety linebacker. Look at the Chiefs in Baltimore. They have that safety linebacker guy. Our guy's hurt in Brandon Cooks. But Patrick Queen is that representation of a safety linebacker who has his speed. Willie Gay, he has the athleticism. He has the ability to cover. I feel like his knowledge is what's going to hold him back. And watching Leo come up, but I think Leo is going to be more of the mind frame and the development of Michael Parsons, a smaller, speedy, blitzing linebacker who could come off the edge. So for Willie, he has to ball out if he wants to try to stay on this team because, you know, looking in the mindset of Brett Veach and how Drew Tranquil is playing, Drew is not walking off that. He's not leaving Kansas City without an offer. He's not. And if they have to get rid of Willie and get younger to keep Drew, they will get rid of Willie, get another young linebacker in. Cochran is coming up. He's playing very well. And let Nick and Drew run that linebacker room in that defense. Because the one thing it's hard to pay for and hard to get is a cerebral player. That's why Fred Warner stays in the league for this long. He is a cerebral player, and to put Nick Bolton in that conversation with Fred Warner is dangerous. He just needed somebody who can help him identify stuff. And once he got that, Drew made him better because remember, Drew used to be in that safety linebacker role. Mm-hmm. He technically is a safety. He just gotten bigger.
Right.
So now it's like, okay, I'm going to show you what I see from behind you, but you showing me what's in front of you. So they both feed off of each other. And Steve Spagnuolo is like, no, I can use that. I can use that to my advantage. So when you see the Chiefs going to these three safety set, they technically got four when Drew was right there in the middle. They have a diamond formation, and that's where a lot of turnovers come in. Like because it's like you think they're in a dime package or a nickel package when they can still be in the base formation.
Yeah,
and I was gonna say, did anybody see the snaps of Drew at safety in the Ravens game? He had like 2 snaps at safety on like the all 22, like rotating literally all the way back to safety. I don't know if it was like a missed call or I don't know if Spags was just like scheming it up like that. But he had several like deep drops at safety at the deep safety. As a matter of fact, like just covering ground. So like he definitely is a safety linebacker hybrid type. He plays some safety in college, and he's played it, like I said, in real time in a playoff game. I don't know if it was a coverage bust or not, but there's all 22 shots of him covering that like that deep half safety.
I'll say
that's a very confusing thing, you know, especially if you're looking at where, you know, if you're trying to track these guys' snaps at where they have their snaps at. That's very confusing because that could have been in a rotation. He could have been rotating them guys from safety to linebacker. Justin Reed probably came down in the box. He going up, and they just rotating across. It's just at the snap of the ball. Drew just ended up being deep. But then again, here comes Justin Reed coming down off the slot. Like, this is doing too much. it's bad enough Drew's wearing 23. You got a linebacker that's wearing 23. So now it's hard to identify these guys. So that's putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And I say he's told, okay, 23 is a linebacker. If he's a linebacker, why is they in single high coverage? He's right there in the middle. If 20 is a safety, why is he down here? Like you have too much going on, and that time is ticking. You don't have time to be sitting there and think. So that's the confusion of that system that's very difficult.
And maybe that's why quarterbacks was mad as well too, because you're just talking about identifying the players, because that's how they actually succeed in the game, how they can break down coverages or break down schemes that they actually looked over prior in that week before facing off against them. It's like, bro, you run him down, then you go up. He's 23, so I'm just thinking he's another safety as well too, who's probably playing his role right, and I'm not going to challenge it. And it's like, okay, they got it covered. Then you look back, it's like, oh, this Drew Tranquil, who's really a linebacker, but he is a safety as well too. So, but at the same time, still as the opposing offense, you still got to make something happen with that. But going back to the Willie Gay thing as well too, and also Leo Chanel, I think with Willie, we saw moments too where it's like, I love how you were able to like save yourself in some of those moments, but sometimes your angles could be bad, how you probably reacted and came towards the quarterback, opposed to what we saw Leo. When I saw Leo on that screen and how he reacted and went back around and he couldn't make a play and he had to literally throw it all over him. I think the guy still caught it, but it was like for a loss of 3 or 4 yards, just because it was like his reaction to it. And this is the guy that we look at as he's a run stopper, thug life. He's about business. He's greedy. He's grindy. He does all that. So it's like, oh, I got this from him now? Willie, you can go somewhere else. They can grab you, because I keep on saying this already. The Ravens, they don't know, because Patrick Queen might be worth something. You already got Roquan Smith, who is – 4 year, $100 million in. Willie Gay will be perfect for their schematic, whatever they do on defense.
They looking. That's the first team that's watching.
Yeah. And they gonna give him more than what we'll give him, because we got too much that's going on. We got our 2 guys that we're trying to lock down right now, and we're gonna have to be mindful of that. So we're gonna take loss. So it's like, really, Willie, you playing for another ring, and also like to prove another team like, hey, y'all need to go ahead and pay me like a decent deal. We'll work on that and do all that. But what we got going on right now with Nick Bolton, Drew, and then also Leo, it can work. And then we see it all the time. We've been seeing them in these different sets, 3-3-5. We see what? We'll see 3-1 more DBs back there and everything. Like, he does a lot of stuff. And then when you have a back end and a secondary that can tackle as well too, we're not worried about tackling anymore. That was a problem. That's why you would want to load the box and have some bigger guys out there. It's like, oh, we're fine on that end. So we don't have to have 3 or 4 linebackers. We can go ahead and just have 2 at a time, along with the 5 DBs that we got out there, and that they're attacking at the point of attack as well too. They're reacting fast. They're not thinking about it anymore. I'm going straight at you. How you feel about that? Did you see a difference in that this year?
To me, yeah, I seen it. It was a major difference, and that's why Steve Spagnuolo been talking about tackling, finding out better ways to teach these guys to tackle more and tackle efficiently, and that goes to, you hear a lot of guys, they're in their base defense. All because you see 4 down linemen and 3 linebackers does not mean that's their base defense. A base defense is the team basic formation where they're staying a lot. Spags is a DB guy. He used to be a DB coach. So when you look at his defense, I think that nickel package is not a traditional nickel, and his dime is not a traditional dime. He is. Do we really know what his base package really is? Because it's all personnel based. Everything is all interchangeable in this person is all different. And so when you look at the tackling of Trent McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed and Williams and Watson, Justin Reed and Mike Edwards, those guys is really make a big difference. But the real sleeper is Amari Connor. That is a sleeper, because now he's a guy that can go from the box being from the line of scrimmage, either on the outside or inside, so either out wide or in the box, all the way to deep. Now you have a Patrick Queen type of guy in Drew Tranquil, and now you have like Drew Tranquil and Amari Connor. That's a problem. That's why even every time he's in the game, when he played against Buffalo, he forced that fumble. I wish he would just fallen on it, but hey, everybody would sit back
Right.
and you saw nothing but green grass. And people want to talk about, oh well, they didn't force the turnover. Well, they technically forced two. Kincaid punched one of them out of the end zone. Hey, that's just a smart play. Get the penalty. Who cares? You don't have the ball, so I could care less about that. But Amari Connor he's a ball hawk. He's that guy who can be in that hybrid area, so you can have him in a 3 safety look, but then you could go to a 2 high shell and he's be that joker role. And now it's like I remember when Tyrann Mathieu was a joker in that, and also he played that star role. That's the guy. That's the player that pretty much in between the linebackers and the safety. Amari Connor is that same guy. He can play deep if need be. He could be on the island by himself, but he can also come down in the run game and tackle. That is a very special piece you can have. And like when these guys can tackle more, I think that's going to be the bigger key in stopping the 49ers. When you look at their offense against Detroit is one of the worst tackling defense in the league. The worst tackling defense in the league. And you watch them like they had McCaffrey balled up either at the line of scrimmage or short to gain or behind the line of scrimmage plenty of times, but cannot tackle. That goes back down to coaching. So tackling for these DBs is going to be hell. And on top of that, they are proving they could tackle better in the secondary. Look at what Justin Reed did to Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards is not no small fry. Isaiah Pacheco is Gus Edwards' left thigh. Gus Edwards is a big dude. And for Justin Reed to come downhill and make an open field tackle one-on-one, good luck trying to stop that. And McCaffrey, yes, he is strong, but he is smaller.
So do you think that the sudden emergence of Chamari Connor is kind of signaling that we might be saying the end of LJ? I mean, I'm sorry, he pointed it out.
I'm about to say,
I mean, same round, basically, nearly type of school.
That's a good question. I don't see that happening. I think LJ is more valuable. Well, people gonna hate me for saying he's more valuable than Chris Jones.
Oh, okay, that's because that was going to lead me to my next question. Yeah, who do you keep? If you got to keep one, you can only keep one.
I'm keeping LJ.
LJ or
I'm
Chris
keeping
Jones.
LJ.
And why?
First, I would try to play it smart. If I know Veach, this is a chess move. If LJ take the franchise tag, okay, then I'm gonna try to sneak and try to keep Chris Jones. If he's not going to take the franchise tag, which I would be prepared for him not, I'm keeping LJ because one, you're talking about I have any game I go into, the best receiver is gone. Now I have my version, this Patrick Mahomes era of Deion Sanders. You gone. Now I can have my all-pro corner who could play slot, who could play everywhere. I'm finna have him just go everywhere. Now I have the supporting cast of Williams and Watson on the edge. So now that makes my DB dangerous.
So what do you think Snead has shown and proven to warrant a second contract here in Kansas City, but Charvarius Ward did not get that same love?
Ward is soft. If you watch the play, if you watch his coverage, he's not going to press as much. If he's pressing with one hand. If people watch what Deion Sanders talk about when he coaches DBs, first thing he tell you is that he watch the feet. If we saw what happened when Tyreek Hill had his hands down and he got aggressive. That right there is the difference. If you look at those two plays between Ward and Snead, when they use press, Ward can get beat on the outside of lots, and he don't have that closing speed to accelerate. Now he got the arm length and everything, but he don't have that closing speed. That's why you see him play man, he plays press off. So he checks and he gets off. Sneed press and goes forward. You're gonna have to fight for those 5 yards. Them 5 yards ain't gonna come easy.
Right.
So when you that's why they say it's a problem with the 49ers secondary. The safety is going to be in pressure when you have someone. Hell, I say if you have someone like Sky Moore. Sky Moore is a quick guy. If I can use him as a clear, get outside and go upfield. That safety has no choice but to go across it. And I have Rasheed Rice come right across the middle, or I have Travis Kelce come right across the middle. If
Right.
you're gonna sit there and hold on Travis Kelce, I take my chances. Sky Moore go get it. And it is what it is. Because I know Ward can get beat on the outside. That's why when you see him, what was the game? Against Baltimore. If you saw how when he lined up on OBJ, a lot of receivers, Devontae Adams does this stuff a lot. I don't understand when you see these guys in alignment. When you're on the big side of the field, why are you going all the way to the sideline? That tells me you're trying to work the middle of the field. So now I'm going to put my back to the sideline. The safety knows, okay, he's trying to work the middle of the field, so I'm going to cheat over. Now I'm taking this quarter of the field away. But when you look at the Chiefs alignment, they stop at the numbers. Now that the corner have no choice but to honor him straight up. But you have all that room between the numbers and the sideline to work with. You beat him outside, that safety has a long way to get over. And if he comes over, somebody coming across that middle. So he's going to see the middle guy first. Ward's going to get beat deep every single time. So, but Sneed is aggressive. And what Sneed does, he uses the sideline as a friend. If you watch him how he press with 2 hands, and he gets his hands on you. Once he gets his hands on you, like I said, the 5 yards, you're going to have to fight me for this. You're going to have to fight me for these 5 yards. And so his aggressiveness is king. Its aggressiveness is king. And so that's, to me, you don't find that no more. That's why you seen guys like Champ Bailey, Ty Law, Dion, Richard Sherman in his prime. Them guys are smart when it comes to press, and they looking at where you at. The closer you get to that sideline, the closer I'm going to put you on the bench. So work with me.
Yeah, and before we get into our next one, because we going back into that, like I see the point with Charvarius Ward against L'Jarius Sneed. Remember when Charvarius Ward, he was really the most penalized DB here as well too. Now keep in mind, Sneed took over that role, becoming that number 1 cornerback for us. However, he's really not as penalized in Ward, and I think it's because what you're talking about right now. He's up on you at the line of scrimmage. I'm going to take advantage of the 5 yards I got until I got illegal contact, and I'm gonna make you uncomfortable throughout that entire time, going out your break and going into your route. With Charvarius Ward, you're doing that soft press coverage. Okay, I'm making contact with you at 5 yards. I'm doing something with you, but you're also playing and flirting with the chance of illegal contact and also pass interference as well too, where it's like, okay, we run at you, it can be an issue. You got to run by me if I'm L'Jarius Sneed. And I'm not going to allow that too many times as well. And I'm going to throw off the timing that you have with your receiver as well, too, which is why Tyreek Hill and Tua had that problem, because they're about timing. You got to hit them in stride, hit them across the middle. I'm going to go ahead and hit you with a little cut, go to the outside and streak you, and then we're just going to time it like that. Yeah, but I'm throwing that off automatically as a L'Jarius Sneed. Because no, we're not going to do that, and I'm going to let my defensive coach go ahead and get in his bag because I'm going to take that chance. I'm like that. I'm aggressive like that. So you're starting to see the little differences and pointing it out. That's why we got a guy like Rod on here as well too, because he just definitely dissects and break down the game. Now, Rod, what you want to say before we go forward?
I say also look at it when Ward was here. You didn't see Ward go to cover the number 1 guy. He just had a side of the field.
Right.
Spags sat there and told Sneed, hey, won't you try going cover the number 1 guy? Follow the guy this time. Spags never had a cornerback go follow a guy.
Nope.
That right there tells me he's been. Oh,
you think he's going to do that this Sunday against Ayuk?
I think he's on
next.
Debo, I think he might go on Debo. I think he might be on Debo.
Debo's
You know
too slotty and too gadgety. I feel like Brandon Ayuk is
McDuffie.
their true number one wide receiver, actual plays wide receiver, takes wide receiver snaps, and plays wide receiver reps. So that's going to be where you put Snead, in my opinion.
See, but what scares me about that, though, is what Rod said. Ayuk is a little undersized. You talk about somebody smash mouth football press. You probably want to put a bigger body like Debo on him, somebody to kind of wake him up. But I see them throwing a lot of screens and them just making the Chiefs have to tackle. Like, they want Debo to get it and try and go 60 yards to the house, run through a whole bunch of arm tackles.
You're not doing that with this defense, though.
Yeah.
You can try.
No, you're not doing that.
No.
Because they're going to treat it the same way they treated Tyreek Hill. And if they treat it the same way, they treat Debo as if that is Tyreek Hill, which is, to me, it was be a smart game plan. Snead is going to be on Debo. You're going to have Trent that's going to be on Ayuk, and Trent is a very locked down guy. He's more aggressive at the point of contact of the ball. And that's going to be a problem when it comes to deep timing, because now you have to be mindful of that deep safety. And see, this is where I say with Brandon Cooks being out, they lucky. Because Ayuk will be out by the second quarter. Cook is a hitter. He goes for the hit all the time. So if anyone noticed when he played, especially on the side of Trent, if Trent got the guy behind him, he always stopped for some reason. And someone asked, well, why did he stop? You saw Brandon Cook. That's why, because he ain't trying to get hurt. So,
that's smart.
So, he's a missile. So I think I could see Trent McDuffie on IU, but they finna have. I can see that they're gonna be more in that 3 safety package. Mike Edwards might come over and help out with Trent, maybe, but also stay dead in the middle and just bait Purdy. But then you have a ton of traffic in the middle of that field. Even though you got Debo and Christian McCaffrey and Kittle, they are not stretching that field. You got too many guys. So now you remember Trent is an all-pro. He can go one-on-one. Or better yet, if I want to put size on him, I'm gonna put Joshua Williams on IU.
That's what I was going towards.
And then now you have a problem. You have a big problem. If Joshua Williams and Watson will lock up Ayuk, oh, good night. Trent is coming free.
Yeah.
And he led the league in DBs and sacks. That's the last guy you want coming downhill. But flip a coin if you want Leo or Trent coming downhill. That's the last guy you want.
All right. So this is a great conversation. I like where we're going at right now, and I think it really leads well into my next question that we have for you before we get into some of these comments and then also ask for your final thoughts. So on going into the Super Bowl 58 against the San Francisco 49ers, who do you need to stand out? Who do you want to stand out on the offense, and who would you like to stand out on the defense?
On the offense, I want to see the grittiness and the continuous grittiness of an offensive line. I want to see that this is a time for Jawan Taylor to make his money. Bro, you went up against Max Crosby twice. You went up against Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. You went up against Javon Clowney. You went up against Clowney. You went up against Ed Oliver. You went up against all these guys. This is your time to sit here and say, you know what? I'm on your ass, Bosa. I'm on your ass. Because if you notice, even when he don't jump, he still is powerful. And I think that's what he needs to realize. Dude, you are much faster. You don't need to try to jump the snap. You are quick. This is why you're getting 80 mil, bro. You don't realize how quick you are. And when you jump the snap, you leave the inside too wide open. And I think Andy Heck has to show him that. Like, dude, you don't need to jump because you're coming back too faster than the edge rusher. And you're leaving that inside open. And now you have to overcorrect yourself. So now, if you see him, especially against Baltimore, you saw him when he take his kick step, he's moving slower. And so he's letting the pass rush get to him, and then he locks in. Like, you get 80 million for a reason. And understand this is the reason why Veach is giving you $80 million. It's not because of your anything else from someone. It's your strength. So I want to see the continuance of this offensive line. I want to see Donovan Smith sit there and have his way against Chase Young and really, because he's not playing. He's just there to be there and put him out of his misery. Put him out of his misery. Because the one thing that people that might not see in Donovan Smith, but Wanye Morris, that concussion saved his career. That concussion saved Donovan Smith's job because he was this close of losing it. If he didn't have that concussion, Wanye Morris is starting. He was getting very close of losing his job, and it happened so quickly. Now all of a sudden you don't have a neck injury. Oh yeah, Bucko, you saw your job gone. So I want to see the offensive line just have their way. Get to Fred Warner. Let Fred Warner meet Isaiah Pacheco and wear them down. And let me Clyde get up that middle, get that gap running scheme up the middle, and wear that linebacker crew down. Because that safety eventually have to come down. That safety is not going one-on-one with Isaiah Pacheco. He's not going one-on-one. And so that's what I'm looking for. On the defense, I'm looking for the complete hostile takeover of the DB. And I'd rather sit back and watch the DB, the whole entire DB room go to work and be scared of losing Dave Merritt and go through that than have them just play average. I don't want them to play down to the competition because San Francisco is going to try to work the middle of the field. Brandon Ayuk is the only one that's going deep. If that's the case, I'm crowding the middle of that field. I'm going to make you go deep. But if you go deep, I have a safety and I have an all-pro, first-team all-pro, let's get it right, corner that's going to be out there. But then again, I have a 6'3", 215-pound long orangutan arm corner that is emerging as a lockdown guy. Yes, go deep if you want to. They might not get the interception, but you ain't getting the catch. They can't get the ball unless if Purdy get pressured. George Karlaftis will be, and that goes back to what I said before. If the defense have a game, George is winning MVP over Chris Jones. And the reason I say that is George got to double-digit sacks before Chris Jones. 3 games before Chris Jones. He needed to go weeks. He had to play the last week and got the most pressures the whole season just to get 1 sack. George is the real. He's going to be that real MVP. If he could get 3.5 sacks, show his real pressure like he did against Lamar Jackson, George is going to steal that MVP.
Right. Hey, let me tell you something. We don't need that right now. We need you to manifest something else. This is $3K on the line. He's at a props of 10,000. So I was like, you're playing for a contract, right?
Yeah.
It's like you didn't get defensive player of the year like you said you weren't going to get. You just said you had to play that last game and pretty much almost go into halftime to get that sack.
Mm-hmm.
This is your time where it's like the defensive, just being the MVP of the Super Bowl, it will like really enlighten them and be like, hey, either we do have to make this deal or we got to tag and trade you to get you to somewhere where you can get this deal. We're getting compensation out of you somehow, but it's like you have something to play for at this point.
Oh, yeah. So he's playing for the rest of his contract money. Winning the ring and winning that Super Bowl MVP, you talking about a lot of money right there. He playing for the rest of that contract. Then on top of that, you pushing. You win. It's one thing if you win, but if Chris Jones wins Super Bowl MVP, I don't think people will understand the magnitude of what he's getting. Dude, you could really press for $35 million a year.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly right.
Rod, that puts us in a really advantageous situation to where we'll be having a very long conversation after that game about
it's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have, yeah. But
y'all gonna be hear me on the. I'm gonna leave the middle of the stream like, hey, like I'm going to go submit this ticket right now. because he just won it. I gotta go ahead and get that right now. But for real, it's just and that betting on yourself, that you won. I don't care if they don't take you back. You won just by saying like I just proved to you what I can do. You didn't get the defensive player of the year like you were supposed to, but it's like I got us this Super Bowl and this Super Bowl MVP though. That's the argument. At the end of the day, we want to win championships, right?
Yes,
that's right.
That's it.
See, but this is where I agree with Clinton at though. If you betting on yourself, right, and you knew that this was gonna be the outcome, then take the contract when they first offer it to you, no matter if it's incentive based or not. And I know it's
you never
hard
take the first contract. You'd never do that.
Well, don't take the first contract, but you understand what I'm saying. Even if it's incentive based or not, whatever it is, the biggest thing with these guys nowadays is guaranteed money. With the Kansas City Chiefs, what you're not going to get, unfortunately, if you're not Mahomes, is guaranteed money. So you got to understand that your contract is going to be incentivized. And if you're going to be able to bet on yourself and get to a Super Bowl, understand that I'm good with making $28 million and the rest being all in incentives because I'm probably going to hit my incentives.
Right. It's like $5 million. Just push it to next year's cap because all of that's incentives that may or may not be likely to be earned in the current year and then go into the Super Bowl. When you got that guaranteed money, that all goes from here, shoved into a bank, and it sits there, and you have to account for it nonstop versus the volatile money that you can have. So incentives have made the Chiefs very fortunate. Talked to Juju Smith-Schuster a couple years ago about that same sentiment.
Also, you look at, it would be easier for Chris Jones to get his incentive with the Chiefs because, you're looking at with this defensive line, also including, Charles Omenihu in it. He had more one-on-one opportunities than he ever had in his whole entire career. Mm-hmm. And if he was to go all out in that one-on-one opportunity, he's winning Defensive Player of the Year. And he knows that. So, looking at the options of Chris Jones, he will be able, let's say hypothetically, he wins this Super Bowl MVP. First of all, that would be very rare that a defensive player won MVP over Patrick Mahomes. Oh,
Aaron Donald should have got it in his year.
Tell me about it. And so now it's like you have something to press the Chiefs for. And for $33 million a year, if they're not going to pay that, you can press any team who got the cap space for 35, and that's going to be then you look at: do you want your money or do you want the ring?
And the one downside to that would be for Chris Jones to get like as much money as he wants to go to the Carolina Panthers, where you're not going to win, you're not going to go for playoff, you're not going to go for championships. So if money is the ultimate goal for Chris Jones, yes, he could go to any bottom layer team who's got enough money to give him as much as he wants. And he's going to go there and be the star and get double teamed and not get stats because he's double teamed. And he's the only focus on that whole team that he joined versus being on the Chiefs. He's got the great defense around him. The offense will always be the storyline out of Kansas City.
True.
So you will always get to be a little bit in the background and you get to play the hero because you were the defensive player that stuck with us and got us there and showed nothing but love. So come back
and
take the contract you were supposed to have. That's it.
And his personality as well too. I think it's I'm not going for Tyreek on this as well too, but you can tell like he has a passion for being in Kansas City and love playing for this organization. And it's like I think that will always be a factor that he has and why it will always be a longer conversation because really you think about it, we could have did the same as Tyreek, like, hey, we just go ahead and trade you away, get you a team that you want to go to. But they was like, nah, we're going to ride this out. Like, we're not going to just go ahead and let you walk away because
buyer's remorse from Tyreek Hill. All he's doing on media's now is being like, man, I miss the Chiefs. I'm still rooting for the Chiefs.
Hey, he's sad right now.
Number one, but the Chiefs are my number two. It's like, bro, why couldn't you have just made it work? Like the grass is always greener somewhere else, but unfortunately, the grass is green where you water it.
I think with the Tyreek Hill situation is, I think he went in the situation with, I want the most money, and knowing that the Chiefs will not be able to afford that, he knew that he was going to go. That's why the trade happened so quick. He knew it wasn't going to happen. And so, and now he's looking like, ooh, not all money, good money. Yeah, because this shit hurts.
And I
But
just wanted to also say, just to double back on what he said, what Rod said about the offensive line. I love that thought about the offensive line. And like you said, since we speaking about money, earning your money, Jawan Taylor earned his money. Like he said, if it ain't a game that you didn't earn your money, or you were playing all year, or you thought that you were slighted, or people were talking crazy, this is the game right here where you exhaust you get rid of all of that narrative. Everything that was going on during the whole season can be expunged with one game, and it's right here. So, like, for real, like this is the get your money game for everybody. Maybe that's what we should title it. Who's gonna be the one to capitalize on the moment, and show that they're worth that contract that they're supposed to get in the offseason or that they have currently.
And see, now it makes you think of who has the most to lose.
I mean, arguably, between the two teams, I've said that maybe the Chiefs, because they've already been here and won it enough times that all the pressure's on them. And according to 49er fans, they haven't won a championship in 30 years, so they're hungrier and they want it more. So,
yeah.
And I feel like it's the Chiefs too. Their legacy is kind of dependent on this. We talk so much about dynasty. And we talk so much about when we win this, or we this close to being a dynasty. What separates dynasties is championships. And I think that they know that. They've been embarrassed in this situation before, being able to go for back-to-backs. I don't think they let a situation like this slip through their hands again, just being that how knowledgeable they are. They're not as young. I'm like, no way. We had a chance to go for back-to-backs and we lost it. Got blew out. No way we get slapped in the face again like that, trying to go for back-to-back championships. We separate ourselves with this one right here.
Right.
So, Rod, before we go ahead and get into these comments, what are your final thoughts and predictions for this game against the San Francisco 49ers, the finale?
The finale. I'm sticking to consistency. And what I see here is 49ers is not putting 30-plus points on this defense. I'm sorry, the NFC is a lot weaker than the AFC. You're not putting this team never gave up a 30-plus point game ever this whole season. Not once. Not once. Only one that was so close was Josh Allen. Look what he went through.
Mm-hmm.
And still wasn't going to happen.
Jordan Love.
So,
27.
Close. And there was a struggle there too, I think. It was.
And it was
they also lost Brian Cook that game as well, so they were trying to come up with a game plan as the game's going on to come back one of their defensive starters.
Yeah. So I don't see, even with them being healthy, I don't see them getting 30-plus points on this defense. And I see the Chiefs winning, but I can see Andy being very modest in this. I see this being more of I say 27-13.
All right. Feel that.
27-13. I like that.
Not as confident as the other guests we've had on. They were going more blowouts, and we've sprinkled the idea of that being in existence, but we're not going to mention it much anymore.
Let's just finish out the season how what made us, kind of back in the picture right now. Like, let's go ahead and finish out like we're supposed to. Let's not be that team who try to do the most to be like, this is the last game in the season. Let's go ahead and go out, and then it just kind of explode in your face. Stick with the game plan, because at the end of the day, we're going to care about the champion, not the style points with that. Win the game, get the W.
Correct.
So let's go ahead and get into these comments. So we got here first. We got Joshua Carter gave us the top of the morning. Good morning. Good mortion. Wherever you located at, it might be almost afternoon, but thank you for tapping in. Devon Taylor, I'm actually thinking we got an end season 40 ball coming for them tomorrow. Ooh, here we go. It doesn't stop. It's in the comments as well too.
We gotta stop saying that, please.
Bring me up, Big Mouth Chicken and Fish owner. Hey, look, let me know where you at, Devon, because I'm in New Mexico.
Shout out to them. That sound heat, sound fire.
And sound fire, and we don't got no good fish spots or chicken spots.
Hey, let's win the Super Bowl. Me and Lonnie will go there. We'll do a live show from your restaurant. If you put a chicken and fish sandwich in front of me, I'll sit there and talk to you all day. Let's go.
Oh man,
we need some sponsors, and we just need some exposure. We don't even need no sponsors, just exposure.
We just need food.
Exactly.
Hey, if I hit on this bet though with Chris Jones, I might be up there with y'all. I'm gonna just let you know that now. I'm coming Monday.
Yeah, I took off on the 14th already. I'm trying to manifest it.
You're gonna reach out to Taylor, see if you can get a ride on her private
dang,
jet.
Our girl's gonna be mad. It's Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it's gonna be Valentine's Day. My mother-in-law.
She go to the parade on Valentine's Day. There we go. It's red. It's red out there.
It's red.
Sorry, ladies. Our hearts
love story
for another reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's filled with sheep's blood.
Who else we got up next? We got all right. These haters should write some good love songs about Travis for Taylor. Maybe she'll stop making them cry. Then maybe. But all right. You know. Okay.
I hate that people hate Taylor so much. Like, she didn't do anything to even deserve that slander. I feel like she's just a product of the NFL being a big media outlet, and they always want to get viewership. So yeah, of course we're gonna put you on camera. I'm sorry, you're dating our best player in our league.
Yeah, my thing has been like nobody's crapped on the Lakers when you had Jack Nicholson always there, all the celebrities always there. Nobody was like, get those celebrities off my screen. What are they doing there? It was just like, yeah, they're there because the sports are that good, and that's the story. So I
also I see is like people getting mad about Taylor Swift, and I got in conversation with a lot of people, especially over here on the East Coast, when people say, well, they don't show Simone Biles. I'm saying, well, I'm sorry, Simone Biles did not marry an all-pro tight end.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Buddy plays true.
Buddy plays defense. He's a safety.
So, shout out to J.O. Shout out to J.O.
Shout out to him. I got mad props to him, but at the end of the day, Travis shot his shot, and hey, he Steph Curry that thing half court.
Right. and to put it out there as well too. And now that y'all say, why y'all ain't showing them? Then y'all gonna talk about him when he said, I didn't even know who Simone Biles was because they got on that little social media thing where they got the celebrities meeting and stuff like that. He said he was in college during the time being really. I'm be honest, like to be for real, it's kind of cap, but then again. I'm not going to lie, like I was in college too, just watching the Olympics. I didn't care. If I was watching anything Olympic, it was basketball, USA team. And then they got horrible. I didn't even care about watching them, so I don't even watch them no more when it happens. So it's like, you know, it's cool. Like I like to see the highlights and stuff like that and see what's going on, but I don't think it's far-fetched. So when celebrating that couple, y'all didn't even celebrate it. So shut up.
Exactly. I don't. I'm pretty sure the Packers do show her a lot, but I don't see them advertising her a lot.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it is what it is. You have the biggest pop star in the world. Exactly. Of course, in the NFL trying to make money. The Chiefs are hot. They're the new America's team. She just so happens, you know, caught the pass from a guy who shot his shot. That's on the America's team. Hey, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah,
call
that's
it
made in heaven. Exactly.
Right. Well, we got Trent could very rarely be beat. Good luck with that. Sean, nobody's saying. Look. We're going to beat him a couple times. That's just a part of being an offensive lineman. You're not going to be perfect throughout the entire game. Especially when you're going up against another elite team as well. Now, I don't think we'll see what we saw last year in the Super Bowl, where the defensive lines are not going to make as much noise. I think they're going to try to make their presence felt in this game. But at the same time, you know, Trent, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a future Hall of Famer. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. But at the same time, it's all about matchups as well, too. It's not about this person just being the best, considered the best at their position in the league, and that means anybody after that, they can't, like, compete with him. It's always been about matchups. Who match up well against him? Frank Clark didn't even play a whole season at all with us all the time. Never had 10-plus sacks. I always hyped him still. But he at times had his way with Trent Williams because of his style of play.
Right.
That's all it is. And that's what happens. So you mix in our Carl Laftis with a Felix sometime. And then you have Mike Dana, who he'll be outside sometimes. You see him on the left side a lot as well, too, going up against Trent, but mostly because we always see Carl Laftis sometimes down on that right tackle. So you'll see that. But then we go into that NASCAR turbo package where he goes inside. You're going to see all speed. You're going to see all our best pass rushers. You don't know. Like, we like to switch up a lot. I don't know what other defenses do like the Kansas City Chiefs, but like you alluded to earlier, Rod, we do a lot of different packages. We trick you in a lot of ways. We come at you in different ways. It's like, and once we find the way that exposes you,
we're gonna stick to it.
It's up from there.
So here's some things about Trent Williams. I'm gonna break down Trent Williams for the Niners fans real quick. It's a big magic number. Homeboy's 35. And then you going up against a young bull who is fresh. You had to play a gruesome season. You're going up against a fresh guy, a fresh kid. That's like going up against Anderson from the Texans, who sat there in red shirt for the whole year, and you going up against this guy fresh. Oh no. Trent Williams had injury problems, especially to his back. I'm sending a corner blitz right at him. Yes. So that age is a very big deal. On top of that, and like I can scheme up a pressure on him for an offensive lineman. This is going off for experience on playing offensive line. The one thing we hate the most is having a corner blitz, not to the outside, but onto that B gap. It's one thing if I can see the linebacker coming up, I can sit here and have my center come over to help, especially if the D tackle is either at my 2 or on my outside shoulder. I can sit here and find a way to, hey, I'm going to wash him here. You pick up the backer. A corner blitz, he's out there. And if he comes around, and if this D tackle is on my nose and I come in and, of course, the center come and help, that B gap is wide open. You know whose responsibility that B gap is? Trent Williams. So now you're telling me you have to deal with a speed rush who's just going straight down the field in a corner blitz coming in that B gap. I'm gonna have my way one way or another off of you. So now Trent gonna have to be mindful of that gap, because that running back don't pick it up. What if the running back is gone? Now that's a unblocked man coming in to knock Purdy loose, and that's going to be on your left tackle, because you protect your inside first before you go to that outside.
And
that's all I wanted you to say right there.
35-year-old left tackle versus a 22-year-old George Karlaftis and a 22-year-old freshly turned 22-year-old Felix. So talk about youth and energy versus experience. That'll be
I know a lot of 49ers fans are going to bring up, well, look what he did with Michael Parsons. First of all, Michael Parsons is egotistic. How he rushed is he playing into the mind of Trent. He rushes as if he's blitzing. So blocking Michael Parsons is pretty easy, because what he doing is Trent, right? He blocked himself into everything. Instead of using his speed, he goes into Trent with power. Trent is 330 pounds. Bro, once he set that anchor, he ain't going nowhere. Yeah. So you have to use technique. Oh, who used technique to whoop him? Frank Clark. Get in, swim. That's it. If you can easily get Trent off balance if you just constantly taking one pass over and over and over. A tackle don't have to do nothing but beat you to the point. But if you sitting here using technique to go inside, because that's the quickest point to get beat. So that's why tackles always keep that right, especially a left tackle. He keeps that right hand free. He's going to punch with his left to guide you down. If you come on the inside, I have to quickly plant and get upfield. That's why when people see Trey Smith, when he don't have no one blocking, and if Creed take the D tackle, you see Trey Smith looking to his right often, very often, to the point he turns and go hit the defensive end. One, he gave Mahomes a lane, but two, he don't want him to come that pass rush to come back on the inside. So with Trent, you having somebody if I can find a way to beat you to a mark to get around, all I need is Purdy to step up. When you
Right.
step up, you're stepping right into Chris Jones. Thank you.
Uh-oh.
I did my job.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
exactly.
Yep.
And we can always talk about all the offensive line schemes as well too, but that was honestly my main point. What people don't understand because they want to blame the guy who, well, oh, he missed a block, coming from the outside. My job is to take care of the inside first, because when that guy who's blitzing from the inside, our quarterback doesn't have anywhere to go. Once you do that, he's literally crowded. You got your edge rushers who's already coming in, and then I'll already solidify the middle right here in your face. It's nothing you can do about that. That's why you always work the outside, and that's why the quarterbacks want that, because they can at least make one guy miss, especially if they catch it quick. That's why that defensive end or that guy who's coming from the edge, they slow down and they kind of break down and they make sure, like, at least this person can't get past them to make a play. They're going to either have to try to throw it away or get it to somebody quick. We got to think about that. So, Trent, he's very smart. And honestly, Spags and his defensive line is very smart. We're not going to always try to beat you with skill, bro. That's not important. We're trying to win the game. We're trying to win that matchup. We're trying to be able to put you behind the sticks. That's the point of attack. That's what we want to do at that point. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. One day away. We're one day away.
Also, add this. The 49ers offensive line, their biggest weakness is the Chiefs' greatest strength. That offensive line, all 5 of them, suck against the blitz. They cannot pick up the blitz to save their life. That's a horrible thing to do.
So I'll piggyback off that because, the offensive line, but Brock Purdy personally has been great against the blitz. So
and to me, I think that goes into bad tackling, because you go back and watch the NFC Championship game and how the Lions blitz wrap up. There's no way he's getting out of all of this. Like, wrap up. I counted at least 6 sacks he could have had in that second half. Like, that game should have been over.
Yeah.
And now I understand Leo Chanel getting ducked under by Lamar Jackson.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can understand that. But Brock Purdy is not, getting up under Leo Chanel. He's getting up on him to get down on that ground. The Chiefs are a much better tackling unit, especially when it gets to the quarterback.
Right.
Brock Purdy is not getting up out of there. He's not getting up out of there.
I said that. I thought that too. I just felt like we played 2 good mobile quarterbacks. That we had trouble. That have trouble getting down on the ground for the Chiefs. I just don't see them letting Brock Purdy have their way. I don't see it, but never know.
We'll have to see, because Brock will be the type of quarterback to run out the pocket and get a first down, a la Patrick Mahomes, if that's what the offense needs to move the chains. So Brock's going to play the ultimate above game manager role against Patrick Mahomes, who this season always needed him to do is play the game manager type role. So we're going to be forcing Brock to play out of his mind. So
that means I'm, as a defensive coordinator, Brock has no choice but to play an A+ game. So if I really want to be cautious of things, I'm gonna have the same game plan like I had against Lamar Jackson. So Brock Purdy, I understand he could get out and get scrambled, but that means you're gonna have to try to outrun Trent McDuffie or Mike Edwards or Drew Tranquil. Drew Tranquil is normally that guy that sits right there and spy, and he's counting. The minute you come out of that pocket, he's coming downhill. Right. He's coming downhill. And so now you have to get your eyes up, and good luck. Good luck. And that's what stopped Lamar Jackson, was containment. This defensive line is going to contain. And if you're not going to get mobile, a linebacker coming free, then that's it.
Yep. All right. I feel you there. All right. Well, this has been a great conversation. We could talk all day about it. Honestly, we've been talking all week about Chiefs versus 49ers, and we're going to continue doing that later today. But Rodney, thanks for hopping on. Appreciate the time. Had a lot of fun.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Anything you want to tell the people before we close today?
It's going to be okay, Niners fan. It's football. It's football. Things happen. But at the end of the day, The facts are facts. Purdy is going up against the best defense of his career right now. This ain't the Eagles of last year. This ain't the Cowboys. This is not Detroit. This is not the Packers. This is a well-oiled coach team. Y'all are invited to the parade. Make sure y'all stop at our restaurants, put some money there for the local for the local people, and we see you there.
I forgot. Did you give us a score prediction?
Yeah.
27-13 Chiefs.
Yep.
All right. There we go. Under 40. Alex last night said the Chiefs were going to score more than 40 points themselves. So we all have different fluctuations of how we feel about this game. And
Confidence
I've said it
levels.
the other day. Like, I'm between like 3 different versions of how this game plays out, and I haven't decided which one is the more likely.
The only way the Chiefs score over 40 points in this game if EB was the head coach. Andy Reid is conservative. EB is cutthroat. He don't care.
If we have a 10-point lead, we're done trying to put up points, you think?
Mm-mm.
All right.
If the defense playing well, he's going to just coast it, put it on cruise control.
Well, let's put our foot on the Niners' throats and show no mercy then, because we all want that dub so we can go celebrate afterwards. So
absolutely.
Thank you for joining us. Anybody here who joined us live, appreciate you being here. Anybody tuning in after the fact, leave us a comment, subscribe, all that. Let us know you enjoyed it. We're going to continue tonight all the same, so stay tuned. If you want more Chiefs content, then baby, we're the right person for you, because we're nonstop with it. So thank you all. Have a great rest of the day. God bless each and every one of you. And as always, let's go Chiefs! Thanks for checking out this update straight from the heart of Chiefs Kingdom. We appreciate your passion, so please leave a like and follow us wherever you tune in from. See you next tailgate, your trusted source for all things Chiefs, Red Kingdom